On July 17th or 18th, depending on your time zone, Mercury will turn retrograde in the bold, fiery, I can do it sign of Leo. This will not be your usual Mercury retrograde. Yes, the typical delays, frustrations, and miscommunications will definitely still apply, but we can expect this Mercury retrograde to feel more amplified in its trickster nature, more electricity in the air, and it's likely to bring more of a wild card, expect the unexpected vibe. Why do I say this? This and more is what I'll be sharing with you in part 1 of this video, including who will most feel this Mercury retrograde, the key dates and transits. So you might want to grab a pen and paper and write these down. And as always, I'll have tips for you on how we can make the most of this retrograde, because Mercury retrograde always has a hidden gift to bestow on each and every one of us that can bring a positive shift to our lives. So watch part 1 before you jump to your 12 sign reading so you don't miss all of that. And in part 2, I will be doing readings for all 12 signs, including pulling an oracle card for each of the signs. So I'm excited to share with you the themes of this Mercury retrograde and why it is very likely going to feel different from other Mercury retrogrades. But before I do, I want to warmly welcome you if you are brand new to the channel. If you are empathic, highly sensitive, on a spiritual journey, or an ascension path, you have found the right place. This is a like-minded community. I'm super glad you're here. Take a moment to tap the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video. If you've been hanging out with us for a while, I am so glad that you are part of the Soul family. Thank you for subscribing, and take a moment right now to tap the like button. I'm Betsy Gutting. I practice Western tropical astrology. It is always my intention to empower, inspire, and hopefully leave you feeling a little bit better than when you came. I am a psychic astrologer, intuitive life coach, and author. And I do astrology readings. Stay tuned till the end of the video to find out more about my offerings as well as my coaching. I also have a free gift for you. Stay tuned till the end to find out what it is and how you can get it. And I write about the astrology in my weekly inspirational astrology updates. To get those updates, go to my website, subscribe for free, and you will get my free gift instant download at the same time. So let's start with the dates. This Mercury retrograde begins July 17th or 18th, depending on your time zone, and it will end August 10th or 11th of 2025. For every Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year, there's something called a pre-shadow and post-shadow period. That means that before Mercury retrogrades, Mercury is slowing way down, preparing to go retrograde. That pre-shadow period began on June 30th, and the post-retrograde shadow period will not end until August 25th. That means that Mercury won't move into new territory, meaning that it won't move over new degrees where it has not yet traveled until August 25th. So you may want to look back to those approximately 17 days from June 30th until Mercury actually went retrograde and notice, were there any themes coming up that may have foreshadowed what is going to be going on for you during this Mercury retrograde. Now, most of you are very familiar with the themes of Mercury retrograde. I'm just going to throw a few keywords out for those of you who are new to astrology. Mercury rules our thinking, our perceptions, our mindset, communication, transportation, air travel, road trips, the mechanical function of our vehicles, our devices. It rules logistics such as road construction. And it's very common during a Mercury retrograde that we have things like disruptions in our plans with others, cancellations, rescheduling, something going wonky with the internet or with our computers or with computer systems that we rely on in our commercial world. You might wonder, why do these things go on during a Mercury retrograde? Because it's only our perception that the planet is quote unquote moving backward. What tends to happen during a Mercury retrograde is that our minds tend to work differently. They slow down. We are less attentive to details. Often we are more intuitive, more psychic. but we can also gloss over things that are important. And this is why we say it's not a good time to sign a contract. It's not a good time to make a big purchase. But it's not just glossing over things. It's also that there are often hidden facts or information that we could not have known during the Mercury retrograde. And so launching something new or signing a contract, signing a lease, as much as we are attentive to those details, the fine print and all of that, there may very well be significant information that had we known, we may not have gone ahead with that deal or that commitment. Mercury also rules buying and selling, all commercial transactions, online orders. It's really common for shipping to be delayed. And so I am a big believer in being extra mindful of clear communication with people. And if you sense or feel, because a lot of you are very, very intuitive already, if you sense or feel that you're not on the same page with someone, double check. I don't think we can have too much communication during a Mercury retrograde. Also, if you have to buy a new appliance or you have to buy a new device because your current one fails, of course, be sure that you have a receipt and that it comes with a warranty. Now, because the planets are always working for us rather than against us, there are wonderful benefits that we can receive from a Mercury retrograde. It does give us an opportunity to slow down. It does give us a chance to go back and repair or take care of things that we have put off. It's a beautiful time to take a break, take a vacation even, reset your energy, maybe go offline for a while if you can. I know that a lot of us work online and that's very difficult to do. But even if you can give yourself a few hours, a half day or a full day to just be completely off your devices, this is a beautiful time for clutter clearing on all levels, clearing your mind, clearing your emotions, clearing your physical space, clearing your computer files. And it's a great time to do research or get advice, talk with a therapist or a coach or an astrologer. Why? Because during a Mercury retrograde, we often naturally reflect, we go inward, we are ready to do some of that deeper excavation that we often don't do when our lives are humming along and we're taking action on projects and we're in that forward motion. This is the time to assess what is working in your life and what isn't. And it can be a great time to go over those regular monthly expenses and maybe get quotes on things like car insurance or anything that you might potentially be paying too much for. Now that's Mercury retrograde. What about Mercury retrograde in Leo? Because each sign will give us a different experience. Leo energy is fixed fire. Fixed is, I want things to be stable. That can lead to more frustration because change is inherently part of a Mercury retrograde. Leo is also a fire sign. It's very passionate, inspired, often dramatic. Why dramatic? Because it is emotionally attached to whatever is lighting it up. And this is true for all of us, wherever we have Leo in our chart, wherever this retrograde is happening in your natal chart. You want things to go a certain way. And so if things don't, our emotions can get more inflamed. Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun is our life force, and it rules the heart. So during this Mercury retrograde, we are meant to check in with our hearts. Whether we're doing this consciously or not, I believe during this retrograde, we are all going to be very much aware of whether our hearts feel satisfied with how we're using our energy, and especially with how we are expressing ourselves. In Leo energy, we have a determined desire to succeed. I call the sign, look ma, no hands. Look, I'm doing it. That's Leo. In the tarot deck, it is the strength card. We are mustering our strength. We are mustering the courage and the resolve to rise to the occasion, to accomplish something. And in so doing, we are proving to ourselves, and often we're proving to others as well, that we can do it. We can succeed. We can win even. And to do this, we are tapping into a deep well of courage within. We're all familiar with the saying of Leo energy, shine your light bright. That desire to be authentic, to shine brightly, that's coming from our spirit. That's coming from our heart. That's coming from our spirit. It is actually what's causing our heart to beat, literally to beat the spirit. So for each and every one of us, our spirits must express themselves. The spirit must express in a way that feels authentic to us, but also brings us alive. And without that, we will not feel truly fulfilled. So this is a Mercury retrograde that will very possibly make you aware of whether something's missing in your life or that there's a greater need for that zest for life to come back in. And that's the beauty of this Mercury retrograde, is that we're going to see, sense, feel if we need to make some course correction to get more joy back into our lives. So one of my tips for you, my friend, during this Mercury retrograde is to check in with your values and priorities. Maybe ask yourself, what is my heart's top priority right now? And are you putting time and energy into that? Is how you are creating and expressing your true nature, your true self. Is this truly nourishing you? Because if not, you will probably want to fine tune or tweak or change it up if necessary. The shadow side of Leo energy is doing things just to receive praise or recognition from others. And if any of us is doing that, even in the tiniest way, that will drain rather than uplift our energy. So some of us may be letting go of a behavior or a pattern or a way of being that we realized has been draining our energy. So I want to talk about what makes this Mercury retrograde different from the rest and the key transits and dates going on. But before I do that, I want to share who will feel this Mercury retrograde most personally and most intensely. The retrograde begins at 15 degrees of Leo. Mercury will travel from 15 degrees back to 4 degrees. So those of you who have planets or points in your natal astrology chart between 4 and 15 degrees of Leo or the other fixed signs of Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, you will be more likely to feel this Mercury retrograde in a very personal or intense way. Also, if your sun, moon, or rising sign is Mercury ruled, and that would be Gemini or Virgo, Geminis and Virgos tend to feel Mercury retrogrades more personally as well. But remember that we all have 4 to 15 degrees of Leo somewhere in our natal astrology chart. So those themes that come up for you in your 12 sign readings, all of us are likely to feel those themes in our lives during this time. And we will all, on a collective level, feel this retrograde more intensely on the days that Mercury stations both retrograde and direct. Now, why am I saying that this Mercury retrograde is going to feel different than others, is going to be more amplified? The reason is that we have several transiting planets that are in Mercury-ruled signs. The first one is Uranus, now in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Uranus is the great awakener. Uranus is the planet that course corrects us, that wants to free and liberate us, but often that comes through a shock, a disruptive event, something that we didn't expect. Uranus is inherently unpredictable, which is why I say expect the unexpected. Uranus is newly in Gemini. It just landed here on July 7th. You individually, my friend, could be having a Uranus transit right now. I have 2 videos on Uranus and Gemini. So if you want to get more information on that, I will link those videos in the description box below. But even if Uranus is not activating one of your planets or points during this retrograde, because it's in Gemini and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, that electrical buzz is in the air and it influences any transit that Mercury itself is having. Now, it's important to say that Uranus in Gemini is not making an aspect to Mercury retrograde in Leo. However, by sign, they are sextiling. The amplified electricity, the air of Uranus and Gemini, and the fire of Leo can spark wonderful things, new ideas, new possibilities, creative inspirations. Remember that Leo is connected to the heart and heart's desires, and Gemini is connected to communication, connection, soul sisters, and soul brothers. So put these together, and this is wonderful for collaborations, just having fun with friends or people that you love. And this is really important because Gemini rules our perceptions, our mindsets, our inner narrative, the stories that we tell about ourselves and our lives. We could also discover that there is a limiting belief or belief system that is ready to go, that we're ready to release during this time. And this could be especially healing to your heart, especially liberating for your emotional well-being. We could have a very positive shift on a personal level, and we could release a grievance that we've been carrying maybe unconsciously against ourselves or against others, and lighten our load. Remember, Uranus wants to free and liberate. Now, another key date is the day after Mercury shifts into retrograde motion. It's actually the whole weekend afterward. July 18th to the 20th, I believe we will feel this. This transit will be within orb, and that is Mercury retrograde will make a sextile, another sextile to Venus in Gemini. Venus in Gemini, just like Uranus in Gemini, Gemini being Mercury ruled, this Venus is very much connected to what Mercury is doing. It's a sextile, so this is positive energy flow. It could feel like something is getting resolved, something is falling into place. Or it could just be wonderful feel-good energy for hanging out with people that feel like soul family to you. That's Gemini. In Gemini energy, we want to feel that we're with people that have simpatico intentions. Mercury and Leo with Venus and Gemini, this is a recipe for some passionate, fun, a good time, doing something just for joy's sake, or you may get a brilliant creative inspiration. A really good time to have a tete-a-tete or tell someone, some people that are important to you that you love them. On a personal note, I'm excited because we're celebrating my daughter's birthday this weekend, but also there is a fair, a traditional fair, carnival rides and all in town. And the plan, assuming the plans hold with Mercury retrograde, the plan is to all go together. My oldest grandson has a Gemini moon, the middle grandson, Gemini sun, the youngest, who's about to turn 1, Mars and Jupiter in Gemini. My daughter has Jupiter in Gemini. Her husband has a Gemini moon, and I have a Gemini sun. So how perfect is this for Mercury retrograde in Leo, sextiling Venus in Gemini? But my friend, also, a Mercury retrograde is when people can come back into your life. Be prepared for people you haven't connected with in a while to knock on your door. Does anyone do that anymore? Okay, you know what I mean, metaphorically speaking. Message you on social media. Text you, want to get back together again, or for you to meet up with unexpected, expect the unexpected, meet up with somebody from a past life. That could happen as well. Now, on July 20th, we're going to have another significant transit that involves a Mercury-ruled sign. This one, Virgo. This is not an aspect between Mercury and a planet in Virgo, but it is nevertheless significant because Virgo is Mercury ruled. Mars in Virgo will make a conjunction to the South Node in Virgo, and this is a very important transit for releasing, cutting out, saying goodbye to something that is no longer healthy for us in our lives, no longer feeding us, no longer a nourishing use of our energy. It could feel like a soul lesson is being completed. You could feel like you are releasing a karmic tie, completing a soul contract. This is a great time for cutting cords to a situation, a relationship that isn't healthy for you, any habit, or to set a boundary. Basically, whatever is going to support your emotional, your physical, your mental well-being, Mars conjunct the South Node is saying this is the time. And yes, karmic and fated events, meetups can happen as part of this transit as well. 2 more important dates, and then we'll move on to the 12 sign readings. On July 31st, the very last day of this month of July, we're going to have a Mercury retrograde cazimi. A Mercury retrograde cazimi is Mercury retrograde coming together exactly with the sun in Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun, which amplifies the power of this conjunction, making it that much more likely that you could have a breakthrough, a moment of light bulb clarity, a divine download. One of those, I was blind, but now I see. A new perception on yourself or on your life that is freeing, that is liberating. All the things that Mercury cazimis are known for. So that is very supportive and beautiful. And then finally, one last date for you on August 11th, which is the date that Mercury stations direct. And remember I said, on the days that it stations, whether it's retrograde or direct, these are the most intense. These are often when things feel wonky or go haywire. Mercury will make a loose opposition to Pluto retrograde, potentially making this day or the day before or the day after, making it feel more plutonic. What is plutonic? It can either be off the charts, incredible passion with another person since it's an opposition, or it can be a power struggle where you feel powerless or they feel powerless. The dynamic can be complicated, messy. There can be a need to set a clear boundary and to claim your power. My final tips for you on this, not your usual Mercury retrograde in Leo. Be flexible and stay open. We always want to be flexible during a Mercury retrograde, but especially staying open to new possibilities that we didn't see before and new urges to try something new, to go to an event or a class or have a conversation with someone that you wouldn't normally say yes to. This is a say yes transit. If it lights you up, if there's something about it that makes your heart warm or get excited about, this is a transit to say yes to it, because this transit can really help us to spark some fresh new aliveness, bring some of that childlike joy and passion back into our lives. If you have felt down, my friend, or you're feeling down, ask the divine to show you what needs to be released. It could be very subconscious. It could be very under the surface. It could be something, often it is, that you are holding against yourself. It could be a judgment about your past, about a decision you made that didn't work out. Remember, Leo energy, we want to succeed and win, but we don't always succeed and win in everything that we do. That's not possible in this human experience. So if there's something you're feeling down about that you can't change, it's in the past, you can't go back and do it all over again, although Mercury retrograde is famous for second chances, so that could happen, that could come up. But if not, there may be something that you are meant to release to lighten your emotional load. Be open to a new self, a new part of you coming online, waking up from dormancy, especially in the realms of creativity, love or romance, or children. Your own inner child delight. If your heart has been protected, be open to it healing and opening up just a bit more. Because this Mercury retrograde in Leo, with the Uranus and Gemini buzz in the air, could very well help you to free your mindset, to shift something in your heart space, and put a lovely, playful bounce back into your step. Okay, my beautiful friend, let us do the 12 sign readings now. Listen to your rising sign. Your rising sign will let you know which area of your natal chart corresponding to the area of your life in which you will be experiencing this Mercury retrograde. You can also listen to your sun sign and your moon sign for further intuitive messages. And we're going to start with Leo because beautiful Leo, this Mercury retrograde is happening in your sign. And happy, happy birthday to all of our Leo friends. Leo, Mercury will be retrograding in your first house. The first house is the house of you. This is the house of your appearance, your look, as we say, how you see yourself, how you want other people to see you, and the roles that you play in both your personal and your work life. It's also your vitality, how you feel in your physical body. So what does this mean to have Mercury retrograde in this area of life? Mercury retrogrades are a time that we are redoing, refining, rethinking any of the themes that are present in the house where Mercury is retrograding. So this means you could be thinking about, am I happy in this or that role? Again, it could be a role with sister, brother, spouse, anyone significant in your life, or it could be a role with a coworker or a supervisor, or if you're a business owner, it can be a role of you and a client. You are going back over in some way, shape, or form, reviewing, refining, again, redoing something that has to do with these roles, which I know sounds very general. But that is how Mercury works. It affects our thinking, and I go all into it in the first part of this video. But big picture, your thinking could change when it comes to your happiness or fulfillment in any way that you spend your time or energy. It could be that broad. So this is the time to really check in with your heart, Leo, and make sure that how you are spending your time and energy and the roles that you are in your relationships, your most important relationships, your partner if you're partnered, your relationship with you, your relationship to spirit, your relationship to your vitality, your health, your relationship to how you see yourself. Any of these things could be up for you. And if you are making any purchases, especially, or doing anything to do with your physical appearance, you may notice that they don't come out quite the way you want them to. Like, you could buy an article of clothing and think you tried it on in the store and you really liked it, and get home and be like, I don't really like the way this looks on me, actually. Just know that anything that you do during a Mercury retrograde, for example, if you take a job during this time, you could have a change of heart by the time the retrograde is over. So Mercury retrogrades are not generally a time that we say launch forward, do something new, sign on the dotted line, say yes to something that you want to last in your life. It is a good time to go back to something though. For example, if you left a job and now you wish you would have stayed and they want you back, that's a perfect Mercury retrograde kind of action to take. Okay, let's see what the cards have to say for you, Leo. Leo, your card is the wandering path, enjoy the journey. Here's the image. When I look at this image, I see that, well, there's a few messages coming through. The first one is allow yourself to wander if you feel like you're wandering. If you don't know your destination, if you feel a bit lost, if you feel a bit in between, those are characteristics of a retrograde anyway. But here we have this fox, we have what looks like a map and a compass, and these beautiful green rolling pastures. And what this is saying, and maybe it's obvious, is that it really is more about the journey than the destination, which I know is a very trite statement, but it's also true, right? The fox tells me that you might want to use some sort of strategy in where you are, it is helpful to use your mind, but just know, and of course we're always using our minds, but just know that you could have a change of mind too. That's a Mercury retrograde kind of classic, that we have a change of mind. And so whatever you do, especially during this time, and of course we're going to have a new moon in your sign, Leo, which I have a whole separate video for you on, but whatever you're doing during this time, allow yourself to enjoy the ride. If you're not enjoying the ride, this is the time to really ask yourself, do I want to still keep doing this? Because that's what this Mercury retrograde is really about. Is this still lighting me up? Is this still bringing me joy? Is this still the direction that my soul is guiding me in? Beautiful Leo, if anything that I shared in this reading resonates and you want to leave a comment, let me know. I would love to hear. Cancer, hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, you are going to experience this Mercury retrograde in your second house of money, earned money, your income, deserving, self-worth. This is a Mercury retrograde in which you could really be checking in with yourself on the amount of money that you're earning. Do you feel like it is at the level that is commensurate with what you are putting out in energy? You could be very focused on your material security. You could be working on envisioning a heart's desire and staying close to an intention of abundance. This Mercury retrograde really supports having an image of abundance if you don't have one, and continuing to go back to it, because I believe that all Cancers right now, at least those who are watching these videos and vibing with them, Cancers are really meant to increase their level of self-worth and abundance around this time. So of course, this means some of you may be reconsidering a job. You may be reconsidering or considering asking for a promotion. You may be considering, and I don't recommend asking for a promotion during a Mercury retrograde or asking for a raise, because again, it's a changeable period of time. Our minds are not working the way they normally work. Unless you asked for one before and your supervisor said, come back during this time and let's talk about it, then you are doing a redo, and that would be an opportune time. But this is a beautiful time to recognize and maybe do some inner excavation on this, some journaling, or some, however you get in touch with your soul, with your heart, with that inner child inside of you, to get a sense of whether you are holding anything against yourself, Cancer. And the reason that I say this is because With Uranus and Gemini, that's very much connected to our mindset and our beliefs. And some of us may be harboring a belief, a self-judgment that is keeping us from earning more, from feeling more abundant, from saying yes to bringing the things into our lives that we most want, that would really benefit us in the realm of material security. So Cancer, let me pull a card for you now, and let's see what the cards have to say. Cancer, your card is embracing enthusiasm, which is such a Leo word, enthusiasm. Shout to the heavens with happiness. I love this card so much for a couple of reasons. One is it's very mercurial, right? She's speaking, it's saying to shout. This is all Mercury energy. What's coming out of her mouth? Butterflies. Butterflies symbolize transformation. So I love this because I feel that this is saying she is communicating to whoever that she's transformed, that she's made a shift, that she is a new person. She is sharing her enthusiasm for her own transformation, or she's sharing things that will help other people transform. Either way, Cancer, this card is saying you have something to be happy about and to share with others. You have something to communicate to the divine. You have something to shout to the heavens. That expression is so high vibe, right? Let the heavens know your gratitude, maybe. Ask the heavens for help if you need it. But you are going to have, I think, many of you, some sort of epiphany or breakthrough or realization that is transformational for you during this Mercury retrograde time. If anything that I'm sharing, or maybe you've already had it. You could have already had it because we've been in the shadow period for a couple of over 2 weeks already. So if anything that I'm sharing, Cancer, resonates and you want to share, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear. Gemini, hello, beautiful Gemini. Gemini, I have my natal sun in Gemini, and Geminis are going to experience this Mercury retrograde in their third house of mindset, communication. It is the Gemini house in the big zodiac wheel, the traditional zodiac wheel. Gemini rules the third house. So it's a pure place to have a Mercury retrograde, but it also means, beautiful Gem, that you are more likely to have some of those moments of confusion or delay or wires getting crossed or, being late for a meeting because you're stuck in road construction. The third house also brings to our awareness relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, landlords, people that we interact with on a regular basis, maybe the people that you talk to when you go work out or when you go to a yoga class. This is also connected to short trips, the third house, your devices, your vehicles. Yes, you want to make sure those are backed up. You can get a new one if you have to, but again, like I mentioned in the first part of this video, get a receipt, make sure it has a warranty. I don't recommend buying these big ticket, expensive items unless we absolutely have to during a Mercury retrograde. You could be launching a website. I would not launch a website during a Mercury retrograde, but it's a good time to work on a website. Although it can be really stressful, I have to say, I designed my website during a Mercury retrograde, and it was so much harder than I think it would have been otherwise, but I was determined. So that's Leo energy, right? When we are determined, and nothing can get in our way. It just took me a lot longer. That's the thing with the Mercury retrograde. When you're doing anything that is associated with Mercury retrograde, it can be a slog, and not be if you wait until you're on the other side of it. So also writing, teaching, learning, publishing. Publishing is the 9th house, but because the 3rd house is directly across from the 9th house, they work together. And so you could be working on something that you are then going to publish in the future. Freelance work. If you wanted to put together in any sort of a course or presentation, this is a really good time to work on it. Not a good time to launch it, but a good time to work on it. And Leo energy does make a sextile to Gemini energy, and so that is really lovely. That's a smooth, flowing, harmonious aspect that definitely helps soften anything that could come up. The 3rd house is often where we do sign a lease or a contract, or we do make an agreement with someone. So or maybe you get a gym membership, something like that. So again, just make sure that you are very aware of the fine print and all of that, but also, something could come up for you after you've already signed that makes you realize you don't actually want to go to that gym, or you don't actually want to live in that place. So often when we do sign up for something during a Mercury retrograde or sign on the dotted line, we are able to get out of it later, but that's not guaranteed, of course. These are all things to deliberate and first and foremost check in with your intuition on, Gemini. Okay, so let us pull a card for you now. And so some of you may have, if you haven't been talking to siblings, you may start talking to them again, or you may heal a relationship with someone that falls in this category. This is a beautiful Mercury retrograde, since it is Leo and heart energy, to heal your own heart or heal something that happened in the past with another person, if that feels appropriate to you, or to set a boundary, or to walk away, because we are getting a Mars South Node transit that I speak about in part 1 of this video that is very much in favor of cutting ties, if that's appropriate. Every case is different. Gemini, let us pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say. Gemini, your card is trust that there is a divine plan. Desert passage. Have you felt in the desert? Has it been less than fertile? Have you been in sort of this dry, parched kind of feeling space, Gemini? I love this card, first of all, because all of the orange in this card, this orange deserty energy, is actually quite beautiful. And this person is on a journey, and this is reminding you of that. It's reminding you that you are on a journey. We all go through phases of feeling like we're in a dry spell or a desert spell, right? And then we go through phases of fertility, lushness, and all of that. And I know a lot of people have been in a desert passage for a really, really long time, a really, really long time. And so when I'm saying this, you can be like, you have no idea. It's been so long. So what I want to say is that if that's how you feel, this card is speaking directly to you. Trust that there is a divine plan. Sometimes that divine plan feels, we lack faith. We question it. We don't understand it. Our human self often can't understand it. And I'm right there with you, Gem, believe me, many times in my life. But the divine does have your back, your guardians, your angels, spirit helpers. What I'm finding right now in my life is that the more that I tune into those who I know love me deeply, those in the other realms, the more secure I feel in this earthly life. So I hope this resonates. I hope this helps you, beautiful Gem. Some of you are not in a desert passage. Some of you are in a time of abundance. If so, this card may not resonate. But if anything in this reading resonates for you and you want to leave me a comment, I would love to hear. Taurus. Hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus, you are going to experience this transit of Mercury retrograde in your 4th house of home, family, childhood conditioning. The 4th house is the house of our ancestral roots, our desire to feel rooted, our core need. We all have this need to belong. And so what does this mean, a Mercury retrograde here? It means that you are very possibly rethinking, refining, redoing your home, anything to do with your home. You could be fixing something. You could be rearranging. You could be clutter clearing. But also, you could be thinking about whether your home fits you or not. Do you want to stay in this home? Do you want to move? Also, the same is true for any relationship with a family member. This is a beautiful time to do healing on, the 4th house it's the bottom of your chart. It's the most personal point in the chart where we often do the most introspection. So this is a beautiful transit to do that introspection. And some of you may find yourself coming back together with someone in some way, shape, or form, someone that has been like a family member to you, or is a soul sister, or is a soul brother, someone that has been very important to you. Maybe you've drifted apart, maybe you had a falling out. They could come back into your life during this time. So Taurus, I am shuffling for you. Let us pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say for your 4th house Mercury retrograde transit. And I forgot to say, Taurus, that this transit, because it's in Leo, it makes a square to your energy, and squares bring about some tension or pressure to take some sort of action. And when I say action, I'm not saying, I don't suggest buying a new home during a Mercury retrograde, because there are often things that we can't see. And even if you get it inspected, FYI, I once had a situation, my former husband and I bought a house. We had an inspector do a full inspection, everything checked out. And then it turned out later, he never crawled fully under the house, and we had issues with our foundation. So that's the kind of thing, even when you are doing everything you think you need to do to kind of bulletproof a decision or an agreement, Mercury retrogrades are famous for things being hidden until after the retrograde. Okay, so Taurus, your card is, I love this card, Taurus, answering the call, the time is now. What is calling you forward? What is your, answering the call? That's the call of your soul. That's a very deep decision that your soul has already made. Your soul has already made it. Some of you, your soul has already made to cut ties with somebody maybe who has been very close to you in your life. Some of you maybe set a boundary, maybe pull back your energy. Some of you, your soul has already made a decision to change careers, perhaps, to move your home, to, you fill in the blank, Taurus, but you are being called. And for those of you who don't know, my book is called The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering the Call of Your Soul. So it is very apropos to the message of this card. If you want support on that, the book is linked in the description box below if you want to check that out on Amazon. But Taurus, the portal is open, the door is open, she's walking through. This is a big permission slip, a big yes to follow your heart, answer the call. If this resonates and you want to share, let me know in the comments below. Aries, hello, beautiful Aries. Aries, you are going to experience this transit of Mercury retrograde in your 5th house of love, romance, creative projects, full unbridled expression, you being your most authentic self. Also the house of children and inner child delight. This is the house in which you are meant to express your heart, to say yes to freedom, to say yes to adventure, to have fun, to bring the most joy into your life that you possibly can. A Mercury retrograde here maybe have you rethinking a love relationship. It may have you taking space from somebody that has been a lover to you, for example. Or you might be thinking maybe you want to date more than one person, or maybe you are, pulling back to spend more time with a child, or perhaps if you're co-parenting with somebody but you don't live together, maybe you are working out your co-parenting arrangements. You could be working on a creative project. You could be deciding, do I still want to write this book? Do I still want to follow through on this painting? Whatever you have been working on creatively, you might be questioning it. This is a time that we are really meant to check in with our hearts and how we're expressing and what we're choosing to put our time, energy, money into, our devotion, our love into, and does it still fit who we are? Does it still fit our values and our priorities? This is a perfect time for that. Also, you want to be really mindful of any communications with people that especially fall in this house. Anyone really, friendships, anyone that you care about. Doesn't have to be somebody that you're dating. It could be a child. It could be somebody that you're working with that that you really enjoy. Those double checking on communications, so helpful during this time. Okay, I'm going to say this with as much respect as I possibly can say it. There's a possibility of someone ghosting someone else. I'll just say it that way. Because it is that house of passion and romance too, we could feel like someone else is ghosting us, or we could, have a long period where we don't talk to somebody. I am a Gemini, so I am a big believer in communication because that's just a Gemini thing. We want to have clear communication. But just dropping a little thing there that if there's someone that you are unsure about, I highly recommend that you communicate with them so that there are no hurt feelings and everyone is in integrity with how they're sharing. Not to say that you wouldn't, Aries. That's just it's a general tip for everyone. Okay, so beautiful Aries. Let us pull a card for you now. And see what the cards have to say. And when you're usually, because Leo energy is in your 5th house and it makes a trine to your energy, and trines are so lovely and you're used to things flowing really beautifully. And Aries, you're such a passionate person, and doing anything halfway is just not you at all. You have to feel passionate about what you do. A Mercury retrograde could feel like it's cramping your style a bit. I have to say that, but it trines your energy, and trines are the best, most harmonious energy. So that really softens all the Mercury retrograde malfunctioning stuff is less likely when you're getting a trine. So that's good. Okay, Aries. Your card is breaking trail, a breakthrough is at hand. Yes, who doesn't love a breakthrough? This is such a great card. You're doing something that you either haven't done before, or it's a challenge that you are having to rise to the occasion of. That's you, Aries. That is your natural way to take on challenges and risks that you don't know whether you can succeed at. That's you. That's your energy. So is there something that you are working on during this Mercury retrograde that feels hard for you, that feels like it is a new trail, that you are breaking the trail? Aries, that's your natural way to be a pioneer. But this is saying that if you have been working on something and it's been hard, or if you find this Mercury retrograde period to be especially challenging for you, know that a breakthrough is at hand. You will come through this. You are going to get the information, the aha moments, the divine download, whatever it is you need to free yourself and feel very, very happy and proud of yourself for what you are breaking trail for. So if anything that I've shared, if you want to claim your breakthrough, that's always powerful. Let us know in the comments below. Pisces. Hello, beautiful Pisces. Pisces, you are going to experience this Mercury retrograde in your 6th house. Your 6th house is the house of your daily work, your health, your habits, your wellness on all levels. The 6th house is our routines and our schedules and how we experience sort of the rhythm of our life. That is the 6th house. Also, pets fall here. During a Mercury retrograde, it's a time that we are reviewing, reassessing, looking back on where we've been and what's working and what's not working. So this could be a work environment, you're assessing that. You could be thinking about changing jobs. You could be thinking about starting your own business and not working for anyone ever again. There could be something toxic for you in a work environment that clearly comes to your attention during this Mercury retrograde. You could be working on a health issue. Definitely all Mercury retrogrades are a time to really be aware of what needs attention. This is a good time to change habits, whether it's how you eat or how you move your body or don't move your body. Start moving your body. Maybe you've been doing yoga, but now you want to spend more time lifting weights. Maybe you've been running, but now you want to start swimming. And someone could come back into your life that is someone you have worked with before. That could happen as well. Or someone that you've worked out with before. Anyone that is connected to any of the themes of this house may wander back into your life, either for closure or maybe you both transformed and you're ready to, be back in each other's lives again. So beautiful Pisces, let us pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say. Something may feel like it needs to be shifted in your daily life flow. Some of you may just need a timeout. Some of you, this would be a good time to take a vacation. This would be a good time to think about, are you able to take care of your health and well-being with the current structures of your day? And if not, how can you change that? Okay. Or some of you might want to get a new health practitioner, massage therapist, or, go to acupuncture or something your body may be calling for, some new kind of nutrition or supplement, that kind of thing. Okay. Pisces, let's see what the cards have to say for you. You can overcome anything, overcoming obstacles. If you feel like you have an obstacle in your daily life in any way, shape, or form, whether it's somebody that you work with or for, whether it is the kind of work you're doing. For some of you, you may feel like, I can't do this work anymore. It may be you're done. You know, a lot of people are feeling done, especially with Neptune having finished out in its sign. It will go in your sign. It will go back to Pisces later this year. So a lot of people with strong Pisces in their chart have had to let go of an old way of being, an old dynamic, an old life, even an old self. And so if that's true for you, it's true for a lot of people with strong Pisces. You may be in a phase of, still letting something go, still letting something wash away. So if you feel like there's an obstacle to that, or an obstacle to what your heart really wants going forward, maybe you're so done with a job, but you don't know yet what else you can do, or whether you can, have the finances support you in doing something else, or starting your own thing, your own business, something like that. You will overcome the obstacles. You can overcome anything beautiful, Pisces. Aquarius, beautiful Aquarius. Aquarius, you are going to experience this Mercury retrograde in your house of committed partnerships, all committed relationships. It doesn't have to be, this is my partner. It can be somebody that you spend a lot of time with. It can be your best friend at work. It could be a business alliance. It makes an opposition to your energy, and oppositions, they play out in our relationships. Of course, everything is a relationship. Mercury rules our communication. So, that's kind of a given with Mercury retrograde. But it is bringing special attention to any relationship, whether it be personal or professional, in which you have the other person's back, they have your back. It's mutual reciprocity is assumed. And some of you may be questioning, is there mutual reciprocity in this or that relationship? Do I want to stay in this relationship? Is this feeding me? Is this healthy or not healthy for me? Because Pluto's in your sign, Aquarius, Pluto is the great detoxifier. So you may be, if Pluto's close to any planets or points, including your rising sign and your sign, you could be working on detoxifying something in your life, whether it's something to do with your physical vitality because it's your first house, or whether it has something to do with just a way of being, or being with somebody in some way, being in a committed relationship with someone in some way. That would be your seventh house, of course, and realizing, this could be a realization you have during a Mercury retrograde, that there's something that has to shift in this relationship, or I'm really complete with this. A soul contract is completed and it is time to say goodbye. That could be true as well for you. So let me pull a card for you. What I love for you, Aquarius, is that Uranus in Gemini trines your energy. I have a separate video too, actually, on Uranus and Gemini for you, linked in the description box below. But that is like a fresh breeze. That's where you can get new aliveness into your life, is through that Gemini energy. And that will feel palpable, I think, for a lot of people during this Mercury retrograde, for reasons that I describe in the first part of this video. So Aquarius, let us pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say. And Mercury retrograde, it could be that you've split up with somebody and now you come back together with them during the retrograde. It's a redo or a refining, or you could be looking back and healing in your mind or in your heart, healing a past relationship. So there are a lot of different ways this can play out. Aquarius, your card is Wondrous Universe, Walk in Beauty. Aquarius, this is so your card to me. Why do I say that? Because of this galactic energy, the wizard hat, you know, your energy is connected to brilliance, to genius. And look at the planets here. This is so you, I feel like. This is saying that you have all of the magical ability. This is like the magician. You have all the magical ability to co-create in your life what your heart so desires. You are in this card, you are the wizard, you are the magician, you are the alchemist. Just tune into the wondrous universe, which is your energy, Aquarius, and know that you are divinely guided. The only thing that you are meant to do is walk in beauty. The beauty is yours. If you want to claim this, let us know in the comments below. I would love to hear. Capricorn. Hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, you are going to experience this Mercury retrograde in your 8th house of power and control. This is the house of transformation, death and rebirth, money, taxes, loans, inheritances, shared intimacy, emotional and sexual. This is the house of emotional attachments and passion and the things that we get very fired up about, because they are the things that, you know, we really want to have in our lives that bring us a lot of satisfaction. It's long-term assets, retirement funds, any kind of investments, real estate. So what does this mean to have a Mercury retrograde here? It means, especially when it comes to assets, loans, the things that were, you know, mortgages, pay very close attention to those things during this Mercury retrograde, or you will just be, you know, somebody will just call you and say, we made an error here in this document or whatever. That could happen too. I very much would not sign any sort of take out a mortgage or anything like that during a Mercury retrograde if you can possibly avoid it, because those are the things that often, you know, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it or that there's something wrong with the purchase if you're buying a home, for example, but there's often snafus, and, you know, sometimes those snafus can cost us a lot of money. Not always, but if you can be, this is a time to be cautious for sure. And if you're going to go forward with something, read the fine print, but reading the fine print or having a lawyer check a document or whatever does not always mean that things come to light until after the retrograde. This is a really good time to go to counseling with a partner. It is a really good time to work on your intimacy with somebody. It's a great time to come to revisit, to have those heart-to-heart conversations that you've been putting off, to revisit anything that is of, you know, a very passionate nature that will transform, you know, those conversations that can transform a situation or a relationship for the better, or just things that need, you know, conversations that need to be had with someone very important in your life. This is a very good time for that. So Capricorn, let me shuffle and pull a card for you. This could feel like a heavier transit, I have to say, a heavier Mercury retrograde, only because the 8th house does often have some, you know, it's the house of transformation. It's the house of where we really are. We want to hold on to our power. We don't want to let go of, you know, this is a time to reclaim your power and set boundaries, but also to really listen to the other person. And I'm very fond of courageous conversations where we are creating space for the other person and the other person is creating space for us to speak our truth, but in loving ways, and where both people get an opportunity to express their fears and what they really want and the love that you have for one another, but in ways that are non-threatening to the other, so that you can really nourish the relationship and come closer together, ideally, with a conversation like that. So Capricorn, let me pull a card. I've been shuffling. Let me pull a card and see what the cards have to say for you. Choosing your path, all is possible. This person is clearly on a journey. They are deciding which way to go. Because this is an 8th house transit, some of you could have already, I have to say, split up with a partner, or some of you have just come together with a partner. Maybe you're deciding whether you want to move in together, you want to share resources. Maybe you're deciding what kind of adventure that you want to take together. But it's going to probably be one that triggers your emotions either way, because it's the 8th house and the 8th house does that. But this is saying that you are not doing this alone. Everything is possible. Don't censor yourself. Don't filter your choices based on what you think is realistic or not. Instead, choose the path and then look at the logistics. Look at all of the earthly realities of things after you choose what is most resonant with your heart. Start there. Look at everything else second, because we have to start with what does our heart most want before we, and give it a fair chance before we let all those naysaying thoughts come in and destroy it before we've even given it some airtime, right? All is possible for you, beautiful Capricorn, if you want to claim that all is possible for what your heart truly desires. It's an open road. It's a new horizon. You are not limited. If you want to claim this in the comments below, let us know. I would love to hear. Sagittarius, beautiful Sag, you are going to experience this Mercury retrograde in your 9th house of expansion. The 9th house is a beautiful, beautiful house of new horizons, higher learning, opening up to new possibilities, connecting with the divine, learning something that you didn't know before. It's the house of seeking. It's the house of long distance travel. This is the house in which you are giving yourself permission to explore something new, to learn a new culture, to visit or even move sometimes to a new country, to have an adventure. It's also the house of publishing, broadcasting, podcasting, teaching, creating a course and putting it out there. I don't recommend that you launch something new during a Mercury retrograde unless you just feel in your heart of hearts that the timing is perfect for you. Sometimes people buy cars during Mercury retrogrades and they swear by it. Everybody is different. Ultimately, your own intuition is your best guide. But in my experience, I do have, a lot of Mercury ruled energy in my chart, and that does affect things for me as well. But you get the idea. What does your heart most want? That is what you are most likely tuning into during this Mercury retrograde. This is a great time to research maybe a course that you want to take. Research, gather materials if you're teaching something. Do your preparatory work or do your refining. Maybe you've already written something like a book and now you're editing it. Perfect transit for something like that. You get a trine from this energy, Sag. So a trine means that you have a lot of wind at your back, that you are being well supported by this Mercury retrograde. It doesn't mean that there won't still be the glitches and things that happen during a retrograde, but you're more likely to receive the inspiration, the illumination, the epiphanies, the breakthroughs, and the information that you need to move forward during this transit. So Sag, let me shuffle for you, and then let's pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say for your new beginning. So a few flipped over, so I'm going to keep shuffling because a few is too many. Let's see what the cards have to say, Sag. Okay, Sag. Sag, your card is navigating by the stars. Follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. I mean, this is so simple. Really what this card is saying, in addition to follow your bliss, which is very, very important, it's saying that your heart knows your truth, your soul knows the way, and that is, this is a big yes for whatever your heart wants. If you've been looking for validation, yes. Does it light you up? Does it feel blissful? Is it what your heart, if time, money, energy, and resources were not at issue, would you say yes to it? That's a clue that it is your bliss. And this is also saying it's okay if you only have the stars to navigate by. If you feel like you're in the dark, navigate by the stars. That could be getting an astrology consultation. That could be part of it. But trust your journey, trust the process. Beautiful Sag, if you want to claim your bliss in the comments, let us know. I would love to hear. Scorpio, beautiful Scorpio, you will be experiencing this Mercury retrograde in your 10th house of career, life purpose expressed, retirement or semi-retirement. Also, anything that you do that is important to you, that feels passionate, that brings you meaning, that brings you fulfillment. This transit is asking you, are you aligned? Is what you do, is how you spend your time, is it aligned with what you consider to be fulfilling? Is it connected to what you consider to be your purpose? Or if you say, I don't know what my purpose is, that's okay. Does it light you up? Does it vibe with you? Are you happy with how you're choosing to spend most of your time? That's this house. It's also the house where we get the most, often the most, if we get recognition. Not everyone does. If we do, that's where that happens. It's connected to bosses or supervisors or people that we work with if we're self-employed. The 10th house is the most public part of your chart, the top of your chart. So it's very important. It's very, very important. Scorpio, you are likely right now focused on these very things. And if not, it could simply be that the Mercury retrograde, because it makes a square to your energy, and squares often do bring discomfort. They do motivate us. They do bring about some tension or pressure that gets us into action, that gets us moving. It could be that there's something in your work environment or in your profession, or maybe you're deciding which profession to choose or to move into. It could be that there is some, stuck energy there, or something going on that's making you question, that's making you assess or reassess what you're doing in this area of your life. You could be really seeking or searching right now for what you would call your purpose. You could be having a difficult time with somebody at work, I have to say. Or there could just be some weird things going on, like miscommunications, and, really check your emails before you send them. I know even when we check them, often there are errors with a Mercury retrograde, but, sometimes a Mercury retrograde is when an email that's meant for one person gets sent to another person, and then that creates a drama, especially in Leo energy. So this is it. Definitely check, double check, triple check any kinds of communications during this time. Scorpio, and if you're searching for your passion, this is a good time to be doing something that is helping you with that. Get my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, or at least check it out on Amazon if you're searching for a passion or you're in a life transition. It's really supportive. I help you walk across the bridge from where you are now to where you want to be, help you free yourself to follow your heart. Very supportive in that way. So let me pull a card for you now and see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Scorpio. Your card is The Gates of Triumph Are Waiting to Open for You. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. Success is expanding in your life. What I love about this card is that there is some charred foliage. Foliage isn't the right word. There are some charred trees here, right? There has been some darkness that you've been going through. But the gates of triumph, this portal, is opening up for you. You are walking through into the light. Check it out. It is such a cool card. I love this card so much. This card speaks of success. Wherever we have Leo in our chart, as I spoke about in part 1 of this video, we want success. We want to feel like we're winning. We want to feel like we are getting the medal or the gold star, metaphorically speaking, of course. And so this card is so appropriate, considering that this is Leo energy for you. If you want to claim your success, or that you're walking through the gates of triumph, in the comments, beautiful Scorpio, let us know. I would love to hear, and you will inspire all of us. Libra, hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, you are going to experience this transit of Mercury retrograde in your 11th house. The 11th house is the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams, allies, supporters. This is the house in which we gather with like-minded others. We find our tribe. We join communities. We sometimes have a social media platform where we are sharing work, or we're sharing a message, we're sharing our passion, or we're branding or promoting something. Also, long-term financial gains fall here. So with a Mercury retrograde here, we're rethinking maybe a hope, wish, or dream. Maybe we have gone to a certain meetup group, or we've gone to a church, or we've been a part of a community, and now we're wondering if we still want to be part of that. In the tarot deck, this is the World card. And the World card is saying the world is your oyster. The World card is saying, where do you want to be? What's the location that you would feel most fulfilled in? What is your current hope, wish, or dream? Allies, supporters, that could be changing. Something could be shifting with the social media platform. You could be on one and decide you don't want to be on it anymore and you want to be on a different one. Or you could change your branding. You get a sextile, Libra, from this energy, and sextiles are very positive and supportive. We have to take some action to get the ball rolling, so to speak. But once we take that action, that's when the opportunity, or the solution, as I like to call it, comes in. The 11th house is also friendships. So be very aware that any communications with friends during Mercury retrograde especially can go a little bit wonky for you, and really helpful to check in with people if there's any kind of potential confusion. So you don't go to the fair and miss each other, or you're not at the fair together, the carnival, whatever. I was talking about doing that with my kids and grandchildren earlier in the video. So you don't go to something with someone like a concert, or different with a concert because there are seats, right, that you can get back to your seats, but something where you could actually get separated. And then, I know we have phones and blah, 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 but you get the idea. Libra, you are a partnership sign. You are very cognizant of that. You are the kind of person usually who would really be on it, making sure you're in touch with people. But Mercury retrograde, weird things can happen for sure. Okay, so Libra, let's pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say. If this reading resonates for you and you want to share in the comments below, I love hearing from you. Let me know. Let's see what your card is. Libra, your card is passion and pleasure. Savor your life. I love it so much. Look what's going on in this card. They're in a community setting. They are dancing around the fire with like-minded friends, with tribe. How perfect is this for an 11th house Mercury transit? This is basically saying, just say yes. Just say yes to passion and pleasure. Bring more of it into your life if you need to. Enjoy the passion and pleasure you already have in your life. If you are fully abundant in this, savor your life. There's a lot of beauty happening for you here, beautiful Libra. There's a lot to be grateful for, a lot to celebrate. Say yes to hanging out with people that bring you joy, that light you up, that spark your aliveness. Savor your life. Virgo, hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, you are going to experience this transit of Mercury retrograding. And remember, you are ruled by Mercury. Your sign is ruled by Mercury, so you tend to feel Mercury retrogrades more intensely. You're going to experience this one in your 12th house. This is really going to be touching into your subconscious mind. How is that helpful? We can become aware of thoughts, of mental loops. We can become aware of places that we have had stories about our life or ourselves or our situation that are ready to be rewritten. This is a quiet place to have a Mercury retrograde, but it could make its way into your dreams for sure. And I love that because I love getting messages from my dreams. This is a transit in which you might want to start writing down your dreams, if keeping track of them, if you don't already, looking for the symbolism, or even just writing down a dream, just journaling through it can help us integrate the information and integrate it into our psyche so that has a healing effect. Virgo, this is a beautiful transit, Mercury retrograde, for healing anything, for any actions you want to take that you would consider to be altruistic. You are a very, very sincere person who does, the terminology for you is service, right? Virgos tend to be such giving, sensitive souls. You may feel that during this Mercury retrograde time, you are more sensitive than usual because the 12th house is a highly, highly sensitive place. You could dive deeper into your mystical self, into the mystical realm. You could start writing poetry or songs, or get really into your creativity. You could be getting messages as you're waking up in the morning. When I did stand-up comedy, which I did for 2 years professionally, most of my material came from when I was just waking up in the morning. It was completely given to me by the higher realms, my own soul. How do we really know, right? But it was pretty amazing. It was really channeled, and this is the house of channeling. So you have the opportunity to have a very creative Mercury retrograde in which you might channel some information. If you do any kind of mediumship work or spiritually based work for others, you may find yourself will probably find yourself extra psychic during this time. You could find yourself attending to or having a desire to help the less fortunate in some way, or you could have a spiritual awakening for sure. Okay, so beautiful Virgo, this is the time, a really important time to take care of you. Really put yourself first and prioritize your inner life if you can. Prioritize your inner life. Because if your soul has a message for you, if your spirit is working on healing something for you, and I feel that this month that's more likely because the South Node is in your sign and Mars is making a conjunction to the South Node in your sign. Very, very important transit for healing a karmic pattern, releasing a soul contract, having some sort of completion in which you're cutting ties to something. And it could very well be for you, you're cutting ties to something in your mindset. Very freeing and liberating, Virgo. So all of these transits together are really wanting to free and liberate you. And you could be working on an abundance mindset. You could be working on manifesting right now. That could be part of your journey as well. So Virgo, let me pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say. Virgo. Discovering truth, you stand in the light of truth. Something is going to be revelatory to you. It could come through other people. It could come through a dream. It could come through a recognition or an aha moment within yourself. But there is a truth that's coming to light. And this card is encouraging you to stand in the light of that truth, to not question it. Maybe you set a boundary that honors it. But it's saying that whatever is coming to you, if you feel, especially if it's emotionally triggering you, or if you're saying, oh my gosh, I didn't see this before, but now I do, we can't go back from that truth, right? We can't go back. And this is saying, take a stand for your life, for your well-being, for that truth that you know, your soul knows the truth, and it will help you to powerfully move forward in your life with more ease, more grace, more freedom. Beautiful Virgo, if you want to claim any of those things, let us know in the comments below. I would love to hear. My beautiful friend, thank you for joining us for the Mercury retrograde in Leo. Thank you for giving this video a like, for giving it a thumbs up, for commenting. I love hearing your comments, for sharing with other people who are curious about this Mercury retrograde, and for all the ways that you give back to this channel. Thank you for subscribing. When you tap that subscribe button, you trigger the algorithm to put this video out to more people who love astrology, and in so doing, you really support the channel. If you would like to do a one-on-one astrology consultation with me, go to my website, check out the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. There are many options for an astrology consultation: life purpose, heart's desire, natal chart, relationship harmony, or a 90-minute astrology consultation, giving us extra time to focus on something that is very important to you in your life right now. I also offer clarity coaching sessions. All my coaching offerings are on my coaching page, and the links to both my astrology and coaching pages are in the description box below. If you want support on any transition you are going through right now, whether it be career, relationship, health, or anything else, check out my book, The Magic of Saying Yes. It is also linked in the description box below. And I have a free gift for you. That free gift is a soothing guided meditation meant to connect you to your unconditionally loving divine guidance. Receive a gift from your divine source. If you'd like to get that free instant download gift, go to my website, subscribe for free to my weekly inspirational astrology updates, and you will get that instant download at the same time. My friend, leave me a comment. Let me know how you are feeling about this Mercury retrograde. I love hearing your insights as well. And until my next video, I am sending you all my love.